welcome to this week's Rogers McHugh YouTube video. In this week's episode we're going to take a little bit of a diversion away from the norm, and I'm going to recommend some podcast, books and TV shows that I feel like you should watch. Let's go! Welcome to this week's Rogers McHugh YouTube video. So in this week's episode, as we've hit the few days before Christmas and everybody starts to take a little bit of downtime, I thought I'd recommend 3 podcasts, 3 books and 3 TV shows / YouTube channels that I indulge in, that I enjoy, that strips me away from necessarily the day-to-day grind, just a bit of escapism. And if it's not on your agenda, if it's not on your list, or if you haven't read or watched or listened to these, then now you've got a bit of a break. If you are indeed off over the Christmas period, to get involved, to listen to them, to read them, to order them, to watch them, and just take a bit of downtime. So I'll start with podcasts, and these are 3 that I listen to regularly. Some are a business twist, some are more recruitment twist, and the first one is the RAG podcast, hosted by Sean Anderson. Sean's pretty experienced in recruitment and now runs a recruitment branding company for businesses and consultants, specifically around LinkedIn and the content that people put out on LinkedIn. I like this because he interviews both owners and founders of businesses, but also senior level people within businesses as well. So it's not just business owners that he interviews, and it's very recruitment biased. You get to understand a lot about their journey, where they've come from, and you'll be able to take loads of things. If you're running a desk at the minute, you'll be able to take loads of things from that podcast and to swipe and deploy it into your own desk to supercharge your desk in 2025. The second one is the Business Broadcast by James Sinclair, and spoiler alert, he also appears in the YouTube as well, slightly different, but in the Business Broadcast he's talking to business owners, he's looking at the challenges that they've got as a business, and he's looking at ways that they can improve their business. And again, there's things in that you, even if you're not a business owner, if you're a recruiter running a desk, there's things in that podcast that you'll be able to take out of that and swipe and deploy into your own desk to supercharge the growth of your desk. And the last one, not recruitment specifically, not recruitment at all, is Business Wars. And this generally is charting the growth of 2 businesses against each other. It's a Wondery podcast. They do Business Movers as well, which is equally as good. And they'll basically chart 2 competing businesses against each other. I've really enjoyed that for the last few years now. I think that you'd really enjoy that, and it just, like I say, it charts the growth of the businesses, how they succeed, how they fail, where the challenges are, and like I say, anything from Wondery is a fantastic podcast. So that's to get your taste buds or the earbuds flowing. Moving on to the books. The first one, really good book, Ride of a Lifetime. I think I've probably mentioned this before. That's by Bob Iger, who was the CEO of Disney. He was actually asked back because the CEO after him wasn't performing, so he actually went back, and it charts his time at Disney. And I think the thing that really stands out is the acquisitions that he made during his time at Disney, and that includes Pixar. When Disney bought Pixar, it was under his tutelage. When they bought the Star Wars franchise as well, again, that was under his tutelage. And there's description of the meetings with the owners of those 2 businesses and how they come through. And Pixar was obviously owned by Steve Jobs at the time, so quite an interesting story about how they went and purchased Pixar. And just a really good, wholesome book on his time at Disney and how the business grew under his tutelage. And like I say, the acquisitions that they brought into the business, and that kind of feeds back into a video we did a few weeks ago about acquisitions or organic growth, which is best. And obviously a bit of both is ideal, but they very much went for we need to go and acquire some businesses. At the time, the film recording wasn't doing great for Disney. Pixar was flying, so they went out and bought Pixar and bolted it onto the Disney brand. That'll Never Work is actually the story of Netflix, how Netflix started, the ideas that were being thrown around. I'll give you a clue as to the title. That'll Never Work because the two founders of Netflix would drive to work every day in the car and throw ideas to each other, and it was always, well, that'll never work, that'll never work, that'll never work. Netflix, actually, with the invention of DVDs, made that a possibility before obviously it moved into streaming. And again, really interesting how they talk about the ups and downs of the Netflix journey from its starting. And finally, Single-Minded. That's by Claude Littner, who's one of the interviewers on the UK Apprentice. He was one of the sort of mentors and experts and advisors to Lord Sugar until recently as well. And that's about the businesses that he's been involved in, how he went into some businesses and turned them around, underperforming businesses, and turned them around. It looks at his own journey and obviously his time at Tottenham Hotspur as well. So there's a little bit of a sports twist there, which intrigued me as a sports fan as well. But obviously, there's a lot you can take away from that book in terms of the companies that Lord Sugar deployed him into. He's obviously his trusted lieutenant, the businesses that he deployed him into in order to turn them around. And again, really a nice, easy read that, but really, really interesting as well. And then finally, I've put these two together. So whether it's TV or YouTube, the reason I've put these together really is because YouTube now is actually watched more than Netflix on the big TV. So TV/YouTube. The first one, we're coming back to James Sinclair, who was in Business Broadcast in the podcast. This is his main channel. So this charts a day in the life of him, his business ventures, the businesses that he owns. I think he's about £40 million turnover business now across an ice cream company, a food services business, nurseries, play centres, you name it. He seems to have his finger in that pie. But really interested in terms of some of the acquisitions that he makes. Again, business acquisitions to bolt into his business portfolio. The pros and cons of commercial property against residential property. He has firm views on that as well. They're only about 15 to 30 minutes long, depending on the topic and the type of content. But again, really worth watching. Second one, Business of Sport. I'm quite a sports fan. I'll watch any sport, to be quite honest. If there's a couple of kids playing Wally out there, I'd probably go and watch it and pick a winner. Business of Sport's really good because they interview people from different levels of sport and how the challenges that they've kind of been through. So the CEO of Cambridge United Football Club was on there. But the guy that owns Charlton, or one of the guys that owns Charlton Athletic, that was involved in Sunderland. But it's not just football. So they look at American sports, they look at rugby. There's quite a broad range there. But again, some really good ideas that you can look at and take from and swipe and deploy. And the last one's Owning Manhattan. And that's a show which is quite synonymous for me because that's about a real estate broker in New York who set up his brokerage in the pandemic, which is when Rogers McHugh was formed. So we've been going about the same time. We're not at the same scale, unfortunately. But he was on a TV show previously on $1 Million Listing New York. So he's a real estate agent and it charts the growth of the business. There's been one season so far. The second season is coming. Again, quite an easy watch, but it gives you an idea of just how forward thinking Ryan is, the owner of the brokerage. And again, the reason I like all of these is because whether it's real estate, whether it's ice cream, whether it's recruitment, whatever, and the business broadcast is obviously a whole plethora of businesses. It doesn't matter what that business is and what it does, there's always takeaways from the conversations. There's always takeaways that we can swipe and deploy into Rogers McHugh to try and improve our offering to our customers, and that's constantly what we're challenging ourselves to do. So, whilst you've got a bit of downtime over the next few weeks, there's a list of some podcast books and TV or YouTube shows that I think it's worth getting involved in, watching, listening to, reading. Some of them, like I say, quite recruitment specific, some of them more business specific, but either way, I think you'd really enjoy them. Go ahead, give them a shot, see what you think. Let me know in the comments whether you like them or not and what your thoughts are. If there's anything that you specifically pay attention to, read, listen to, watch, again, put it in the comments. More than happy to take recommendations. Obviously, this is the last one that's going out before Christmas. So from me to you, I just want to say thank you very much for watching this year. Hope you have a great rest, a great Christmas with your family and friends. We'll keep the videos coming. As a Christmas gift to me, please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow the subscribers. It's growing slowly. We want to supercharge it now. We want to really grow the channel in 2025. There's going to be a lot of new content coming out. So subscribe to the channel and we'll be back next week with another video. See you then.